Hello, I'm CJ Wellerman, and this week we reveal reasons why Israel's alleged nuclear weapons program might be another Zionist lie meant only to bluff its Arab neighbors. But first, please remember to like and subscribe to our show. Now let's get into it. There are two reasons why Israel's enemies have never attacked the Zionist state in any meaningful way since the Yom Kippur War of 1973. The first being the coercive power and influence of the United States, and the second being the threat of retaliation from Israel's nuclear weapons program. In the history of modern warfare, no nuclear-armed state has ever been invaded because the prospect of a retaliatory strike is too terrible for the would-be attacker to contemplate, which is why no state has ever bombed Tel Aviv or anywhere that would drive a stake into the heart of the Zionist state. But what if Israel's nuclear weapons program is a total hoax? What if it's all a big fat lie meant only as a bluff to keep its enemies at bay? This leads to an even bigger question. As in, what the heck are Israel's enemies waiting for if Israel doesn't possess a single nuclear weapon, given every single one of us has witnessed with our own eyes the Zionist army's cowardice, ineptitude, and ill discipline in its fight against the Palestinian resistance?
The ground invasion. Hamas is stronger. That's just a fact. Hamas is stronger, even though we fought them, and I believed during that fighting and with our sacrifice and all the destruction that we wrought in Gaza that we had dealt them a decisive blow. But that was just not true.
If Israel cannot defeat Hamas, then it has no chance against a determined Arab state, a coalition of Arab states, or against a so-called axis of resistance. If Israel's enemies are patiently waiting for the Zionist state's inevitable collapse, or the entire Middle East has been conned into believing the unofficial hype surrounding Israel's covert nuclear weapons capabilities. Now, it's widely assumed that Israel possesses nuclear weapons, with estimates of the country's stockpile ranging from 90 to 400 nuclear warheads. Its vaunted and feared nuclear triad consists of land-based ballistic missiles, submarine-based cruise missiles, and air-based tactical bombers carrying gravity bombs. And it's also assumed that Israel possesses two missiles that are able to carry nuclear warheads. The Jericho-1, with a range of 500 kilometers and carrying a warhead that's 20 times more powerful than the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. And the Jericho-2, with a range of 1,500 kilometers and carrying a warhead 1,000 times more powerful than Hiroshima. But the key word in all of this is the word assumption, because none of these capabilities have been verified by independent observers, nor has Israel ever admitted to possessing nuclear weapons, with the Zionist state maintaining a policy of deliberate ambiguity, meaning it will never officially deny or admit to having a nuclear arsenal. Israel's policy of ambiguity is supported by the United States' silence on the matter. It has never uttered a single word about it out of fear that confirming Israel's nuclear capabilities will encourage Muslim countries in the region to pursue their own nuclear weapons programs. When President Obama was asked whether Israel possessed a nuke weapon, he responded by saying, "I don't wish to speculate." But I'll ask again, what if Israel is bluffing? What if it doesn't actually possess a nuclear strike capability? These questions now need answering, because Israel and the United States have ended their respective silence on Israel's nukes, with an Israeli minister recently suggesting their military drop a nuclear bomb on Gaza, and with US Senator Lindsey Graham saying words to the same effect.
Say this, why is it okay for America to drop two nuclear bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to end their existential threat war? Why was it okay for us to do that? I thought it was okay. To Israel, do whatever you have to do to survive as a Jewish state.
Senator, again, military officials say
whatever
the
you have to do
has changed. But let me ask you about how all
these
of this
military
could
officials
impact.
that you're talking about
Let me ask you
are
something.
full of crap.
Now, if Israel does indeed possess a nuclear bomb, as Senator Graham suggests, then the US government is in violation of the United States and international law, which demands automatic sanctions for any state that detonated a nuclear explosive device after the year 1977. Well, if Israel's nuclear weapons program is true, then the one and only test that has ever carried out occurred in 1979. when US satellites in space detected two bright flashes above the Indian Ocean, indicating a nuclear explosion. At first, US President Jimmy Carter suspected South Africa to be behind the detonation, but the CIA argued that Israel was responsible. But if Israel is indeed responsible, it means every single dollar of US financial assistance to Israel is a criminal act, according to the US Arms Export Control Act and the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty, the same laws that were invoked to sanction Iran for its nuclear ambitions. But an even bigger point is this, that a grainy satellite image from 1979, which may or may not have been the detonation of a nuclear device, is the only piece of evidence pointing to Israel possessing a successful nuclear weapons program. But to possess a nuclear weapons program, one must be able to successfully build and test a nuclear device, and then build and test a missile carrying said explosive device. Israel, however, has never presented or let slip any evidence it possesses this ability. And, as every engineer knows, that if you can't test, then you don't have an end product. But Israel, of course, has been happy for rumors of its alleged nuke weapons program to run wild throughout the Middle East. Because by staying silent, Israel keeps its potential enemies off guard, and never truly knowing whether or not the Zionist state is vulnerable to attack. Former Israeli leader Shimon Peres admitted as much in his biography when he wrote that Israel benefited from rumors about its nuclear arsenal and in turn exploited their adversaries' doubts. But to believe Israel actually possesses operable nuclear weapons requires you to suspend a certain level of disbelief, because this is what you would have to believe to be true, that deep beneath the desert sands, a brand new settler colonial state built a covert nuclear bomb using technology and materials provided by friendly powers or stolen by a clandestine network of agents, and then assembled an entire underground arsenal of 80 to 400 warheads on par with India and Pakistan, but with zero public awareness of what it was doing. Even today, award-winning Israeli journalists aren't sure whether or not their country possesses the bomb.
Okay, before I go to Norman to respond to that, can I just ask you, Benny Morris, does Israel have nuclear weapons?
I don't know. I've never been invited to Dimona or wherever they stockpile them, so I don't know. But most Western intelligence agencies says Israel has a nuclear stockpile. They say Israel has at least 200 nuclear weapons, and I assume they know what they're talking about.
But we know exactly how many nuclear weapons the United States has, Russia has, China has, the UK has. Why is it the world has no idea how many Israel has? And why is it when I asked Netanyahu directly that question, he refused to answer?
To build a nuclear weapons program requires a huge industrial capability, which is why all known nuclear powers are big geographical nations, the smallest being North Korea, which is 6 times bigger than Israel. A lack of industrial capacity is why Israel was not able to build its first submarine until 1999, having bought them from Germany during the 1960s and 70s. It should go without saying that building a submarine is a much easier task than building an entire nuclear weapons program. Therefore, you have to believe that at the same time that Israel couldn't build even one submarine, it was able to build an entire arsenal of nuclear weapons, and in total secrecy. Well, it's now time for Israel to come clean. And it's now time for the United States to officially spill the beans. Does Israel possess a nuclear weapons program or not? If it does, then the United States must enforce domestic and international laws by cancelling all financial and military aid to Israel, and then slap sanctions of the same severity it slapped on Iran. But if Israel doesn't possess nuclear weapons, then my goodness, what are Israel's enemies waiting for? They know the Israeli military can't fight. Hamas and Hezbollah have proven this time and time again. And it should also be remembered that Israel has attacked and destroyed nuclear facilities in Iraq, Syria, and Iran over the last few decades. Israel is a country constructed on lies, deceit, and manipulation. Maybe it's time to call its bluff. But that's my time for today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, and we kindly ask you please support our effort to expose and confront injustices in the Muslim world by becoming a member of the show at patreon.com/CJ We can't produce, sustain and grow the show without your help, and we offer exclusive content and benefits to those who do. I just can't stress enough just how much we need and appreciate your assistance. But for now, good night, good morning, wherever you are, and stay blessed.